Guys and dolls, Freedomdad here, and I hope you are all good. I am more than good. It has always, with complex PTSD and overthinkers, it can always be a bit of a roller coaster, emotional roller coaster. But when you go through life with emotional roller coasters, you sort of learn how to ride the roller coaster. Yeah, it has been overwhelming to say the least. And it always is the same when I come back. But I never ever really capture it or talk about it. Obviously, because I don't walk about with a video recording myself. This is the first. So I've only been doing this for 7 months, remember, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I suppose, like, I was just thinking about it there, out with the dog. It's just a wealth of memories that come back, and, no matter what people may think, I have some crazy memories in this country, some crazy memories, and a lot of memories I can never talk about, as you know. But they're not the ones that stick to my head when I come home. The first, always my memory is of where I'm from, where I was born and bred, and that's the village, South Belfast. You know what I mean? And that's always my first love. You know what I mean? And I will do a wee piece. I will do a video, especially from. I'll show you where I was born, and we'll go for a wee walk. Okay, I'll take you a wee walk. So yeah, I'll do that. Obviously, I'm catching up with people, letting people know I'm here, and so it's times have changed. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not really changed in a way for me. You know what I mean? It's everybody's still about, and everybody, some people do change, some people don't. Some people change for the worst. You know what I mean? And so it has its different aspects. For can't really explain it. You know what I mean? It's difficult. I've got to stay within the parameters, guys. But yeah, it's a very unique country, very unique country. And if I thought it was difficult when I've run about here and spent my 20s and my 30s, it's compared to that now, it's like a spaghetti junction, because there's so many variables now. And the whole thing with irregular immigration has opened up a can of worms. You know what I mean? And I'm just trying to digest it. I'm just going to be totally honest and frank with you guys. I need to be careful. Who's on the payrolls? Because obviously we know in situations like this, even in England and stuff, this is the tactics of the establishment and the government. They will use people that we look upon. You know what I mean? And it's a very touchy subject. And I'm not talking about my guys on the street. I'm talking about politicians. Now, at the end of the day, whether that filters down to the street, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I say, it's a very touchy subject, and it's something I've got to tread very lightly. Only a fool would come into somewhere like Northern Ireland and think they can change things overnight. Only a fool would come into Northern Ireland and think they can make any changes at all. So you've always got to keep that in mind, where you are and what's went on in the last. It's plastic. I thought it was glass. In the last 45, 50 years, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So you can imagine. I don't know if some of you could really imagine. If you know what it was like over here with the conflict, the religious divide, the different areas, the peace walls, and all the rest of it. You looking at that and the way we behaved and how we've been indoctrinated with these ideologies. Can you now imagine what it's like with irregular immigration if we do have an influx, an opening the door, a welcome of people from Muslim countries who follow Islam? And because obviously in amongst that you're going to get extremists who follow it to the letter, and and we see where that goes. We see the problems in England, and it's just being cautious. Obviously, we just want to be very cautious. We want to protect our children, but we're up against a machine that is very well oiled. That's all I can tell you. For an example, the trickery of the words and the way they do things. using our conflict. This is what I'm getting, guys, and this is my opinion. This is for entertainment, and educational purposes only. Their opinion, the opinion of a young man who was born and bred in Northern Ireland under the curse system because he lost his mum and went through a pretty hard time, and then progressed into prison and spent quite a lot of his young from 16 into my middle 20s in prison. My fault, of course, not blaming anybody else but my own, but these are my opinions, you know what I mean? And I feel that what I found, what I think anyway, is they're using the things that's went on in this country, bringing Protestants and Catholics together, and saying, like, going into Protestant areas and going, because these are Protestant schools, are predominantly Protestant, which do have Catholics in them. Please believe me, there is Catholics in our Protestant schools. But they want, I think they're wanting like a 50-50 or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but they're wanting a lot more Catholics in the Protestant schools. But are they? This is the thing, you see, because if you've got a situation where they have it in law, where we have to open our schools to a quota of Roman Catholics, and they do it under the banner of inclusivity. Sorry, guys. You know what I'm saying. Under the banner of diversity, where people feel like their back's against the wall when them sort of labels are getting thrown about. If that's the kind of thing, then obviously the parents in the areas that I've visited are concerned that opens the door for any religion. And as we see in England, when Islam does enter into a school, we then see that school changing for not wanting of offending the children that practice the religion of Islam. So it's very understandable, and I get it. I don't agree with it, but I do get it. What is the answer? Is the answer segregation for all different religions? No, the answer isn't segregation for all different religions. That's a lot of schools, but we've got a lot of money. You see, this is the thing. We can do all these things, you know what I mean? And we can control our borders and control the protection of our religion quite easily. If we stopped sending money abroad, we would have more money for ourselves to deal with the issues that we face. To spend more money on the children who are being victims of the grooming gangs, to prevent them being on the street where they're going to be vulnerable. More money spent on the victims of grooming gangs who are now in the adult system, most likely, i.e. prison, or on mental health care, or on drug counselling care. There should be no stone unturned for the conviction and the determination to make sure that nothing ever happens in any of our countries ever again against any of our children just because they were white and they were Christian. And any other person in any other country should have that foremost in anywhere and anything they do, in every single social policy, before they even decide to stand for the representation of any community. They should have the foremost in their mind is the protection of our children. And if they find anywhere in the history where our children are at risk by any other ethnic, any other community, whether it be a Welsh community, an English community, a Scottish community, whether it be an ideology like Jewish, Christianity, Muslim, Sikh, it doesn't make a difference. If people act on any of them things and attack our children with them beliefs behind them, any one of them that I mentioned, then we should make sure it never happens again. That's what I'm trying to say. The solutions are out there. We can come to the solutions, but we do need more money. Come here, girl. We do need more money. So, coming home, and I'm thinking about my mum. I'm thinking about, where I grew up. It's always there. I get a different feeling when I walk into my own area. Come here, girl. Come on, this way. And I get a different feeling, and I don't see me sometimes as who I am today. I see me as that 8-year-old boy. I see me. I still get emotional because I see me as another person. I see my wee boy as like my wee brother. You know what I mean? And It's very difficult, and it does bring up all sorts of emotions. And being a witness and being around children who were affected by grooming gangs, more or less, that were in high up positions of power in our government and in our judicial system, it makes you concerned. In the 70s, there is evidence. I'm not, misinformation. There is evidence that there was the MI5 know about it. You know what I mean? And one day it will all come. It will all come out one day. And being growing up in that atmosphere of that kind of hearing them things as a child, children shouldn't hear these things. These stories were told to us to scare us. It wasn't until adulthood I realised that they weren't just stories. And it brings me to the day 2025, and it breaks my heart to think that the girls, just like the girls that were in the children's homes with me, were weren't safe. They were in more danger than we were. I was safe on my streets. We were safe on our streets. So yeah, I break my heart. I'd end up breaking my heart here, guys. And it's like, because I see these girls. I know who these girls are. I know what these girls have already been through, probably before these men got their hands on them. And it's unforgivable. It is unforgivable, and it should never be forgiven, and it should never be forgot. I'm Freedom Dad, and it's not going to happen in my country. God bless.